February 26, 1945, 0630 hours. The jagged slopes of Hill 382, Iwo Jima. Black volcanic ash crunches under boots like shattered glass, sucking at every step as if the island itself is alive and hungry. The air reeks of sulfur and cordite, thick enough to choke, while distant artillery thunders like a relentless heartbeat. You can almost taste the fear, metallic, sharp, mingling with the salt spray from the crashing Pacific waves below. Private First Class Douglas Jacobson hunkers low behind a shell crater, his M1 Garand slick with sweat and grime. At 19 years old, he's already a veteran of the Marshall Islands and Saipan, but nothing prepares you for this meat grinder. Hill 382 looms ahead, a fortress of rock and reinforced concrete, honeycombed with Japanese pillboxes and bunkers. The 23rd Marines, 4th Marine Division, have been grinding against it for days, bodies piling up in the open like discarded gear. Orders are simple: take the hill or die trying. Jacobson's platoon pushes forward in the dim pre-dawn light, shadows flitting between craters. Machine gun fire chatters from hidden slits in the earth, tracers zipping like angry hornets. Incoming! Someone yells, but it's too late. The Bazooka team ahead, two leathernecks hauling the M1A1 launcher and its rockets, catches a burst. The loader crumples first, face down in the ash, blood pooling black. The gunner staggers, clutching his side, before a sniper round drops him cold. Chaos erupts. Marines dive for cover, returning fire blindly into the haze. Jacobson freezes for a split second, heart pounding against his ribs. The Bazooka lies there, abandoned amid the sprawl of bodies, a 5-foot tube of steel, weighing 13 pounds empty, designed for 2 men, one to aim and fire, the other to load the 3.5-pound rockets from behind. Marine Corps doctrine drills it in. Solo operation is suicide. The backblast alone could fry you, and reloading under fire? Impossible. But Hill 382 doesn't care about manuals. Without a word, Jacobson lunges forward, grabbing the launcher and scooping up 4 rockets from the dead men's packs. His buddies shout warnings. Doug, what the hell? But he's already moving low and fast, ash kicking up around him. The first bunker squats 50 yards ahead, a low mound with a narrow firing port belching lead. He shoulders a tube, kneels in the filth, and sights down the crude iron sights. The rocket's fin tail slides into the breach with a metallic click. Loaded by feel, no time for precision. Boom. The launcher's recoil shoves him back like a mule kick, flame roaring out the rear in a cone of fire that singes the air. The rocket streaks true, slamming into the bunker's face in a blossom of smoke and debris. Concrete cracks, screams echo from inside. One down. But the hill awakens fully now. More guns open up, bullets whipping past his helmet. Jacobson doesn't hesitate. He ejects the spent casing, slams in another rocket solo, arms aching from the awkward angle. How does he do it? Pure adrenaline, twisting his body to load from the side while keeping low. Fire again. Another pillbox erupts, flames licking out. Marines around him stare, then cheer raggedly, inspired to push. But the Japanese aren't done. Mortars start walking in, shells whistling down like judgment. He advances alone at first, a one-man storm, destroying 2 more positions in quick succession. The technique clicks in his mind. Skip the loader, minimize exposure, strike fast before they readjust. But with only 2 rockets left and 16 bunkers still spitting death, how long can one Marine defy the odds? The ash swirls thicker now, a choking gray curtain that turns the morning into perpetual dusk. Jacobson reloads again, awkward, one-handed, twisting his torso to slide the rocket home while keeping the tube shouldered and his head down. The backblast scorches the ground behind him, sending volcanic dust exploding outward in a fiery halo. No loader to warn him, no spotter to guide. Just instinct, muscle memory, and the raw need to keep moving forward before the Japanese can zero in. He targets the next cluster. A pair of machine gun nests dug into the reverse slope, their barrels spitting fire that pins his platoon flat. Bullets snap past his ears like cracking whips. He crawls, then sprints in short bursts. Crater to crater, the Bazooka heavy is gilled across his back. At 30 yards, he drops to one knee, sights the first nest. The rocket streaks out, straight into the embrasure. A muffled crump, then silence from that gun as smoke billows. The second nest swings toward him, tracers stitching the ash. Jacobson rolls left, loads faster than doctrine allows, fires again. The position vanishes in a gout of flame and shattered concrete. Screams cut short. Marines watching from the craters begin to rise, rifles ready. "Look at Jacobson go!" One yells, voice cracking with awe. They follow not in formation, but in ragged waves, drawn by the momentum he's creating. But he's not waiting. He presses on alone toward a larger blockhouse, a squat concrete monster with slits for 20 millimeters fire and a crew feeding it ammunition. This is no simple pillbox. It's a nerve center anchoring the line. He closes to 40 yards under withering small arms fire. A round pings off his helmet, ringing his skull like a bell. Blood trickles warm down his temple, but he doesn't slow. He fires. Directed on the firing port, the 20 millimeters goes silent. Crew scrambling inside. Not enough. Jacobson grabs grenades from his belt. Demolition charges scavenged earlier, hurls them through the breach. The blockhouse shudders, then erupts in a thunderous blast that hurls chunks of reinforced concrete skyward. Dust rains down like black snow. He doesn't pause to admire the wreckage. Another pillbox nearby. 5 Japanese defenders visible through the smoke, manning a heavy machine gun. He advances straight at them, reloading on the move. One rocket left in his initial haul. He fires, collapsing the entrance. Then he switches to his .45 pistol, closing the distance, firing into survivors as they stumble out coughing. 5 down. The position is his. Word spreads fast along the line. One Marine's cracking the hill. A lieutenant shouts orders to exploit the gap Jacobson has torn open. But the Japanese adapt. Mortar rounds begin bracketing his position. Earth erupting in geysers around him. He dives into a fresh crater, lungs burning, arms trembling from recoil and strain. Ammo is running low. He needs more rockets, more charges. And there, 20 yards back, lie the packs of fallen comrades, untouched, waiting. The hill isn't beaten yet. Far from it. More bunkers loom ahead, interconnected by trenches, a deadly web still spitting death. Jacobson wipes sweat and blood from his eyes, spots a satchel of explosives nearby. He grabs it, slings it over his shoulder. One man against a fortress. But the momentum is his now, and it's building. How does he keep going when every manual says he should be dead already? The crater becomes his temporary fortress. Shallow, stinking of burnt powder and blood. Jacobson breathes hard, chest heaving, as mortar fragments patter down like deadly rain. His ears ring from the constant blasts, vision blurred by sweat stinging the cut on his forehead. But he sees them. Scattered packs 20 yards back, canvas bulging with rockets and satchel charges left by the fallen. The Japanese have paused their barrage, perhaps regrouping, perhaps stunned by the sudden gaps in their line. He has seconds. He sprints low, zigzagging through the ash, bullets kicking up black fountains around his boots. He reaches the first pack, rips it open. 3 more rockets tumble out. Another satchel nearby yields grenades and a pair of demolition charges. He stuffs what he can into his blouse, slings the extra rockets across his back like firewood. Weight drags at him now, shoulders screaming, but the fire in his gut burns hotter. Back to the fight. A reinforced pillbox ahead, its 47 millimeters gun traversing slowly toward the advancing Marines. Jacobson flanks it, using a shallow trench for cover. He loads, fires. The rocket punches through the gun's shield in a shower of sparks. The cannon goes silent, crew scrambling. He doesn't give them time. He charges, lobbing a grenade through the embrasure. The explosion rips outward, silencing the screams inside. Position 7. The hill seems to shudder, as if waking from a nightmare. Japanese defenders, realizing the breach, pour fire from multiple directions. A heavy machine gun opens up from a camouflaged nest to his left, stitching the ground in front of him. Jacobson drops flat, rolls, comes up firing his pistol to suppress while he reloads the bazooka one more time. The awkward twist, the metallic snick of the rocket seating. Then the roar. The nest disintegrates in flame. 8 down. Marines surge forward now, using the openings he's carved. A sergeant waved him on, pushed through Jacobson's holes, rifles cracking in rhythm. But Jacobson is already moving again, drawn to a larger blockhouse that commands a slope. This one is different. Thicker walls, multiple firing ports, a crew feeding belts into twin Type 92 guns. It's the kind of fortification that has chewed up companies before. He closes under cover of smoke from burning positions. At 25 yards, he fires. Direct hit on one port. The guns falter but don't stop. He loads again, faster now. The motion almost fluid despite the pain. Second rocket slams home. The blockhouse rocks, concrete cracking like eggshell. He follows with a satchel charge, heaving it through the breach. The detonation is cataclysmic. Roof collapsing inward, dust billowing like a mushroom cloud in miniature. 9, 10, maybe more buried inside. Exhaustion claws at him. Arms tremble. Legs feel like lead in the sucking ash. He's lost count exactly, but the line is breaking. Japanese fire slackens in places. Sporadic now. His platoon pours through, bayonets fixed, shouting his name like a battle cry. Yet ahead, the summit still bristles. Interconnected trenches, hidden mortars, reserves rushing to seal the wound he's opened. He spots one last cluster. A tank turret repurposed as a fixed emplacement. Its 47mm cannon swinging toward the Marines. One rocket left on his back. He shoulders a tube, sights through the haze. The shot is perfect. Turret erupts, ammo cooking off in secondary blasts. The hill trembles again, but he's out. No more rockets. Pistol low on rounds, body battered. The Japanese aren't finished. Counterattacks forming in the gullies below. Jacobson staggers to a crater, drops to one knee, scanning for more ammo, for any way to keep the momentum alive. His platoon reaches him, slapping his back, voices hoarse with gratitude. You did it, Doug. You cracked the bastard. Yet the summit isn't theirs. Not yet. Reinforcements are coming, Japanese and American. The real test. Can one man's fury hold long enough for the rest to catch up? The summit of Hill 382 rises like a broken tooth against the smoke-choked sky. Jacobson hauls himself upright, legs shaking, every muscle on fire. His platoon has caught up, dirty, bleeding faces he recognizes. Corporal Ramirez, Private Kowalski, the lieutenant whose name he can't recall for the ringing in his ears. They form around him instinctively, a loose semicircle of rifles and bayonets, using the shattered bunkers he's already silenced as cover. The Japanese fire has thinned to sporadic bursts, but it's not surrender, it's consolidation. Down in the gullies, fresh troops are moving. Silhouettes in mustard-colored uniforms, dragging machine guns and mortars to plug the holes he punched. Jacobson's hands tremble as he checks his last pistol magazine. 5 rounds. The bazooka tube is empty, cooling against his thigh like a spent lover. No more rockets within reach. He scans the ground. They're half buried in ash near a collapsed trench, a satchel charge someone dropped. He crawls to it, drags it back. Heavy, wet with someone's blood. He slings it anyway. Cover me, he rasps, voice raw. The lieutenant nods, no questions. The platoon opens up, Garen's barking, bars chattering in long, disciplined bursts. Tracers arc toward the next line of defenses. A network of connecting trenches crowned with sandbag machine gun posts. Jacobson moves. He doesn't run straight. He angles left, using the smoking hulks of positions he destroyed as stepping stones. At the first trench lip, he drops flat, peers over. Japanese soldiers scramble below. 10, maybe 12, feeding belts, shouting orders in clip bursts. He pulls a fuse on a grenade, lets it cook 2 seconds, lobs it down. The blast echoes up the walls. Screams following. He rolls a second grenade after it. Dust and silence. He drops into the trench, boots thudding on bodies. Pistol raised. A wounded Japanese soldier lifts a Nambu. Jacobson fires twice. The man slumps. Another lunges from a side bay with a bayonet. Jacobson sidesteps, clubs him with a pistol, but finishes with a point-blank shot. The trench is his. 11, 12. He stopped counting precisely. The important thing is the line keeps bending. Behind him, the platoon pours in, clearing left and right with grenades and bayonets. Jacobson presses forward along the trench line, satchel charge banging against his hip. Ahead, a larger emplacement, concrete, low-roofed, two heavy machine guns still firing toward the American line below. He creeps close, hugging the trench wall. At 10 yards, he heaves a satchel through a firing slit. The charge detonates with a deep, chest-thumping roar. The roof caves. Guns go quiet. 13. He emerges from the trench mouth onto open ground again. The summit is closer now, maybe 150 yards. But the Japanese have pulled back into their final redoubt, a cluster of interconnected pillboxes around a central command post ringed by barbed wire and mines. Mortars drop steadily, walking shells toward the Marines. Jacobson's group takes cover behind fresh rubble. He spots it then, a fallen Marine, pack still strapped on, 3 rockets protruding like broken fingers. He sprints. Bullets whip past, grabs 2, leaves 1 for whoever comes after. Back to cover. He shoulders a tube again. Reload solo. The motion smoother now, almost mechanical. The first rocket streaks toward the nearest pillbox. Impact. Flames. 14. The second follows. Direct on the command post entrance. Concrete shatters. Secondary explosions ripple outward as stored ammunition cooks off. 15. 16. The entire summit seems to convulse. Smoke rising in thick pillars, firelight flickering across ash-blackened faces. For 30 heart-stopping minutes, one Marine with a 2-man weapon has torn open an impregnable position. The Japanese line fractures. Marines flood upward, shouting, shooting, overrunning the last offenders. Jacobson drops to his knees in the ash, tube clattering beside him. His platoon surrounds him again. Hands on shoulders, voices hoarse with something beyond gratitude. The hill is theirs. The meat grinder has been fed, but not satisfied. Jacobson looks up at the sky, gray endless, and feels nothing but the ache in his bones and the strange, hollow quiet that follows impossible survival. Yet the cost is already visible in the faces around him, and the war isn't over. The sun finally claws its way above the horizon, weak and sulfur yellow, casting long shadows across the smoking summit hill 382. Jacobson sits slumped against the blackened wall of what used to be the central command post. Now just a crater rimmed with twisted rebar and chunks of concrete. His helmet is off, resting in his lap like a trophy he never wanted. Blood has dried in dark streaks down the side of his face, mixing with ash into a grotesque mask. His hands, raw and blistered from recoil and hot metal, rest palm up on his knees. They still tremble, but slower now. Around him the hill has changed. Marines move with purpose. Securing trenches, dragging wounded, stacking Japanese weapons like cordwood. Medics shout for stretchers. A barman kneels nearby, methodically checking belts, his eyes flicking toward Jacobson every few seconds as if expecting him to vanish like a mirage. The lieutenant approaches, crouches, voice low and rough. "Doug, you okay?" Jacobson nods once. Doesn't speak. Words feel too small for what just happened. Down the slope, corpsmen are already counting. 16 positions confirmed destroyed in 30 minutes. Pillboxes, blockhouses, machine gun nests, the repurposed tank turret, all reduced to smoking holes by 1 man and 1 bazooka. The numbers will be verified later, typed into after-action reports, debated in staff tents. But up here, in the ash and blood, the count is already legend. Men who saw it happen repeat fragments to newcomers. He loaded it himself, kept moving, didn't stop even when they bracketed him with mortars. Word ripples backward to 4th Marine Division faster than any radio message. By evening, in foxholes and aid stations, Marines who never met Jacobson are already trying the technique. A corporal from the 24th Marines picks up a bazooka after his loader is hit, twists awkwardly, fires solo, and lives. Another follows. No orders come down from above. No training bulletin circulates yet. It's Marine to Marine, whispered, demonstrated in the lulls between shelling. Watch how he does it. Keep low, load from the side. Don't pause. The technique spreads like field medicine. Imperfect, dangerous, but better than dying pinned. In the weeks that follow, as the division grinds toward the airfield and the meat grinder hills beyond, solo bazooka teams appear more often. Casualties drop in those sectors. Officers notice but don't write it up immediately. They're too busy staying alive. It isn't doctrine. It's survival. Jacobson himself says little. When pressed by a war correspondent days later, he shrugs. They were shooting at my friends. I just kept going. No bravado. No drama. Just fact. The official citation comes later, Medal of Honor, presented by President Truman in October 1945. The text is spare, clinical. For conspicuous gallantry and intrepidity, destroyed 16 enemy emplacements in the face of intense hostile fire. It mentions a bazooka, the solo operation, the 30 minutes. It doesn't capture the trembling hands, the taste of ash, the way the hill seemed to hold its breath when he fired the last rocket. But the men who were there remember differently. They remember a 23-year-old farm boy from New York who picked up a weapon meant for two and used it like an extension of his own rage and will. They remember how one impossible act cracked open an unbreakable position. And they remember that sometimes, when manuals fail and death is close, the only way forward is to rewrite the rules on the spot. Hill 382 falls silent at last. The wind carries the smell of burnt powder out to sea. Jacobson stands slowly, slings his empty bazooka tube over his shoulder one final time, and starts down the slope with the others. The war goes on, but something has shifted. One man proved that momentum, speed, and sheer refusal can outweigh training, equipment, and numbers. And that lesson, unwritten, unofficial, saved lives long after the ash settled.